So basically have the ability to work while you're not actively working is something that, video has the ability to do that most people don't even recognize.
You don't learn until you launch. Until you do something like that, you don't realize like, oh gosh, okay, never doing that again, right? But the takeaways are invaluable.
They say, well, everyone's a potential client. And that's a mistake, because I've seen people that try to talk to everybody and then they're talking to nobody. You have to realize who you serve and why you serve that, because you might be going after a market that you actually hate.
On episode 483 of the podcast, we are talking about why trying to talk to everyone means you're actually talking to nobody and how to fix it. Also, how copying what's working for someone else is slowly making your brand irrelevant. And then finally, why video is one of the best ways to build trust and qualify clients while you're not even working. What is up, my friend? Hey, welcome to the Grow Your Video Business podcast. My name is Ryan Coral. I'm your host, and this show is really about trying to help you build a business, a production business that thrives, helps you to feel like you're doing meaningful work and not running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Let's be real. Running a business is super duper easy. That's a joke. Maybe for some, but for most of us, this is hard work. We get into this work because we find a passion. We find something that we love doing. We love storytelling. We love capturing beautiful imagery, and then working with clients who love the work that we're doing for them. And then we start doing it like full time. And then we realize like, wow, there's a lot of pressure. Like I got to book my next client. But in the meantime, I'm trying to get storyboards and film dates, and I'm doing editing, and now I'm on production, and where am I going to find time to find more clients? Because if you didn't notice, this work takes a lot of time. So with all of the things, all of the new tools that we have at our disposal, and new ways that we should be marketing ourselves and considering, there is a lot to consider. And I hope to bring you resources and people and make introductions that will help make your work better, easier, more fulfilling, that you would be more profitable and more excited about all the things in this work, because it is meaningful. It can be very, very meaningful. And I want you to also not just have meaningful work, but I want your life to be meaningful, and for you to be available to the people around you, the relationships that you have, for you to be able to find the time and energy to be able to nurture those as well. I talked to somebody recently, and I was shocked to find out that he had not been on a date with his wife in years, he said. It's just like, we got little kids, I run a business, and I'm like, oh man, how do we fix that? Because you need to date your wife. That's a big deal. I won't really deep dive into that, although I have opinions and thoughts. And yes, finding a babysitter, doing whatever it takes to regularly hang out with the love of your life is so important. Okay, I digress. That's not what this episode's about, but I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited for you to get to meet Alex. We're in Mastermind together. We just got to spend some time together in Austin last week, and it's great. If you are new to these parts or you're not on my email list, go get on there. Go to growyourvideobusiness.com and you can sign up to the newsletter there and stay up to speed on all the cool things that we've got happening. I'm doing a live workshop next week, so if you're not on the list, you're not getting notified about this because the time it's just important that you get on that email list, okay? Leave me a comment, reach out. If there's any way I can serve you, help you, please don't be a stranger. And that's all I've got. So let's roll the tape, get in the episode. Here we go. What's up, my friend? Hey, welcome to another episode of the show. Today with me is Alex Yu, who is a team leader and coach and all around really cool guy. Alex, what's up and welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here and to share some nuggets, maybe some glitz and glamour, maybe some glitz and gutter. We don't know.
Ooh, nuggets, glitz, all of the things. It's like, let's go, man.
Let's do it. I didn't know there's a question in there, but the one thing I do know is that It'll be a good time.
It was a pregnant pause. It was a pregnant pause. Okay, I told you I was going to have fun. Here we are. It's happening. It really is. So, in your years, your expertise is in. Would you say your expertise is in the world of real estate, or would you have a different, more refined answer than that?
I would say that, my background's in real estate. I used to work for JP Morgan Chase, which is the largest bank by assets in the US. And how I got involved there was actually when there's a bank called Washington Mutual. And then during the downturn, they basically were purchased by JP Morgan Chase as it was required because the entire, US economy was like kind of in a situation, right? And my job was to manage the bank-owned assets in Southern California on behalf of the bank to go ahead and manage and maintain and get the highest value for the properties, because in reality they had lost a ton of money. So
in the all the learnings that you've had, well, we'll just say, over the last bunch of years, what would you say you are? What's one of the biggest things in business that you've learned that has helped you be who you are today?
Yeah, what I would say is that a lot of people are really focused on real estate, especially we work in residential, and they're like, we just want to sell more homes. And I think that what's kind of lost in the mix is that they forget about people. Homes don't sell themselves. Really, there's people involved in that. And when they kind of lose sight of the fact that it is a monumental change in someone's life, they actually forget. They're like, oh, this person's a lead. That's what they're called, right? They're called leads.
Right.
And when they're called leads, and they're called transactions and they're called deals, that kind of diminishes what the life change is.
Right.
And I think that is actually the biggest mistake in kind of what I see.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, even as you're saying that, I'm thinking about how that applies to the video work that we do. We build automations and funnels and all these things to try to get people onto our list and, nurture them so that they can become a client. But our best clients and the best projects that we do, our favorite people that we work with, are the people whose stories we've leaned into. And when I say stories, I'm not saying like the ones that we've filmed and turned into videos, but it's on the Zoom call or it's in the workshop. It's being with people. It's like seeing them, hearing them, really knowing like what makes them tick and what they care about. And when you do that, like it's just for them, the reason why they've become the best clients is because they feel seen and heard. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And because you do that game plan, and then you have the strategy, it makes a lot of sense. No one wants to be funneled, right? So that doesn't sound like anyone wants
No
that.
one wants to be asked.
Right. So the reality is that when you spend some time with people and you really understand what they want, the goal is actually more important. And then your job is to facilitate that process in a way that helps them get to the goal. That's all they really want. People they overcomplicate things when it comes to residential real estate. Everything we do is driven by life events. And it's like we say there's a bunch of D's, which is diapers. Someone has a new baby, they might want to move, right? There might be a degree where, the kids move out of the house. They say that as well. Unfortunately, like sometimes it's because these two people are no longer together. So it's divorce. Sometimes it's like death where someone passes away. And that's what we're seeing a lot. So life events actually are the most important thing to understand because the goal will be based on kind of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. And maybe you can speak to this, and hopefully I don't go too far on a tangent here, but my mom is in title. She's been doing title work forever. And she tells me stories, like nobody's like, oh, I got to use this title company. Like nobody's, but they're excited about the agent, like who they get to work with. But then people that work with my mom, she has a level of care for the people that she works with. And it's different than an agent where, I think she understands when she's at the table, like what is happening, bigger picture. And she's trying to see like, oh, is there a divorce? Like, was there a death? Right. And so she tells me these stories, and I'm like, I wonder if that's why people really like working with her, is because it's not a transaction for her. It means something different.
Yeah, I think that actually is a big differentiator. Because to be honest, when it comes to like title, which is insurance, no one's excited to get insurance, right? No one wants to pay for insurance, but it's
Yeah.
actually an important part of the process, because if
Right.
you have a title issue and the title person doesn't know what they're doing, they don't know how to resolve it, it's actually going to keep the transaction from happening. And that can also derail kind of how people are going to live and how they kind of experience the process. But
Right.
I think in general, no one wants to get title insurance. They're like, why do I need this? Well,
Correct.
the lender needs it. So
that's good. I'm curious to know, we've been in Mike Kim's world for a while. What's in I mean, I think in the years that I've known Mike, there have been lots of changes in the marketplace and with the way that we do business. And so I think that every year there's like a shift, and it's like, oh, this is interesting. Here's what I'm learning. I'm curious to know if in the mastermind, if there's anything right now that you're kind of focused on or getting excited about, or just taking away from the stuff that you're learning from, I won't say from me, but from people like Maeve or Mike or Uli or whoever.
yeah, it's interesting, because when I started, I was just thinking about, how do I sell more real estate, right? And even when I came into Mike's world, that was kind of the thought. If I could sell more real estate, then I will be in a position where I'm going to create more income, and we can benefit more people, because we do give part of what we receive to like the charities that we believe in. But
Yep.
what I'm seeing over time is that like business owners are a very unique breed of people. They're people that are willing to take on risk. They're people that are basically putting it on the line. And oftentimes they end up working 60 hours for themselves versus 40 hours for someone else, and making less money oftentimes, right?
Mm.
So what I found though is that the business owners and in the mastermind that want to go ahead and get to the next level, it's not always about income. And most of the time, it's very rarely about income. It's about figuring out what is important to you, and then doing more of it, and knowing at the end of the day that the income is going to be part of this.
Yeah.
But you're also going to be driving the process to actually get to where you want to be. So that's kind of something that I'm kind of seeing. Yes, there's a focus on, signing a big client, but usually the signing a big client is not just about making more. It's about doing more, and then oftentimes becoming more.
Yeah. I love that. That's a good summation. For you, what has it been like for you to understand yourself, and what brings you the most fulfillment in the work that you're getting to do?
Yeah, good question. And I'm going to tell you that 3 years ago, I was told, and I was like, I'm willing to try anything once. The
Yeah.
goal is in order to sell more real estate, you have to have more people. And I do believe that that's part of it. But I scaled from basically 2 agents to 27 in less than 6 months. And I'm going to tell you, it was a cluster. The whole thing was a mess. It didn't feel like me. And I feel bad a little bit, because there was one time where we're having our team meeting on a Monday. And I'm like, hey, who's that? What's that guy's name? What's that guy's name? And
Yeah.
it felt really bad. And I mean, partially it was my fault, because obviously I should be paying attention to who we're hiring and whatnot. But I had basically offloaded that to someone else.
Yep.
And unfortunately, within 5 months of that, I'd let go of 20 people. And it was brutal. But I also realized that I did not set up a business that was consistent with what they were being, shared, and they were not being told what it really took to grow a business. So I lost part of the DNA and culture of what it is. And that year, with 27 people at one point, we actually sold $75 million in real estate. Sounds pretty good, to be honest. But this last year, with only 7 agents and 5 that are full time, we sold over 100 million.
Whoa.
So what it shows though is that it's not about just getting people. It's about getting the right people. And
Yeah.
I personally, I don't know about you, but I can't be partnered or work with other people that I don't want to work with. Some people are okay
Yeah.
with it. Some people are, I have friends that have great teams and they're like, yeah, I would never have lunch with half these people. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's a different way to
Yeah.
live. But
Right.
that's
Right.
why I don't open, my own brokerage, because instead I'd rather run a team where
Mhm.
I have enough bandwidth to help them kind of reach their goals. So that was a big learning, opportunity for me,
Yeah.
because it's hard to make money when you have a lot of people and you don't know what they're doing, because I lack systems too, during that time. We're
Yeah.
building all these systems, but that was actually
Mhm.
a great learning experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, you don't learn until you launch, until you do something like that. You don't realize, like, oh gosh, okay, I'm never doing that again. Right. But the takeaways are invaluable. And that, sometimes it hurts, but it's all good.
Absolutely. That's what I've seen too.
I'm just thinking through like some bad hires that I've made and thinking about when those relationships ended. The I just remember going, this one employee in particular, letting him go, or I think he quit, and I was just trying to figure out ways to fire him for weeks and weeks and weeks and months, actually. And this is the first time I ever had a business coach, and she kept telling me, like, you can't fire him, you didn't set the proper expectations, so it's he probably shouldn't have done that, but you never said that you're not supposed to do that. And so, finally he leaves, and I remember driving to work that next day, and I pulled into the parking spot and his car wasn't there. And I was just like, oh, because, like, in most of our businesses, most of, the people that I'm coaching and mentoring in this space that are running video businesses, most businesses are pretty small. And so if you're working with somebody who doesn't like compliment you or get you fired up or get you excited, it's like, oh gosh, like there are too many people to choose from that would love to work in a space like this. To work with somebody that you don't align with, and sometimes you don't really know until you start working with them, right?
Mhm.
But that there's that phrase, what is it? Hire slow, fire fast, something like that. Take time to figure out, like, what kind of people do you want to work with, and take time getting to know them, figure out if this is the person, and then but then when it stops working, like, stop. One of the biggest mistakes that I've made in my business is letting people hang out for too long, because I gave them all these responsibilities and would think, like, well, if they leave, like, that's not going to get done. And I don't even know half of the processes, or I'm going to have to get back in there and start doing those things that I don't like doing. But oh my gosh, the energy suck and the time suck and all of the things that person takes up, at least in my world and in my experience, it's like, oh, I've got to cut the cord like way sooner. So have you experienced anything like that, or is that?
No, that's exactly right. Some people don't mind. Some people are like, it's a
Yeah.
necessary evil. You should work with
Yeah.
people that you don't like. And I guess that's a different mentality, but I realize
Mhm.
that I don't have that ability. Um,
Yeah.
because our team meeting was at like 11 a.m. and it's 11 a.m. And I'm like, it's not even noon. And this guy looks like, he's having a bad day. What's going on? Like, I, I don't get that. Where
Yeah.
like people are falling asleep. I'm like, this is not like the Titanic movie. It's an hour. So what happens though is you
Oh man.
realize, though, one of my mentors taught me this, and it is, in life, it's only about accept or reject. Most people live their life right in between that. So if
Mm.
you accept this behavior in your meeting, then that is your new standard for your business, for your team.
Yeah.
So if that is what the standard is, because standards that are not withheld or not upheld is a problem
Yeah.
for most people, most businesses, because the owner has core values, but they're not written. Or if they are, worst case, they're written, they're put on a wall, it's a plaque that you walk by, but no one's held to those core values. No one's held to those standards. And when we actually removed an agent, he was actually a top producer on the team. But I wish that only money drove me, life would probably be a lot easier. But I was like, this guy, if he continues to come in, and he was starting to be negative, he was going through some stuff, and I understand, we all go through challenges, but he was starting to be negative to the newer agents. And I was like, this guy's like, oh, he was saying, you got lucky. You don't deserve that opportunity. Stuff like that. And that's cancerous. So
Yeah.
for me, I was like, hey, if this is the new you, then this is not going to work. And I had to let him go, which is unfortunate. But also I had a little more awareness where like one of our core values is unbuyable character. Because if you can get bought, like there's plenty of people that can be bought. So, but just like any relationship, right? If you've been in that relationship too long and it's not the right relationship, and to be transparent, sometimes we're like, we don't have the courage or the strength to let these people go. Every day is painful. And then when they're gone, you're like, you've been feeling like you've been holding your breath for months. And then when they're gone, then that's what it is. I felt like that in romantic relationships where this is not the right relationship, but we kind of were just going through the paces. And at first, and at some point, one of them, I mean, she broke up with me, but at first it hurt. But then I was like, wow, am I relieved? So it happens.
Yeah, the two big phases in my business, I remember where I had multiple employees. 3 the first time that like it was like this cancer. Like one person was a little bit negative, which gave permission to this person, which gave permission to this person. And those were like people that were hired after this person. So they were just taking this guy's lead. And when I got rid of those people, the one guy quit, and then I can't remember what happened to the other 2 people. It was like, oh my gosh, like the culture's so much better. And then fast forward a few more years, and I had like another little cluster of like 4 people. And they ended up leaving after we had a hard conversation with the whole team about finances and stuff. And those 4 people left, and 2 people were like, no, we're sticking around. And the health, the culture, it was like, those were the people that embraced the core values and that were hungry and wanted to get after it and were willing to do whatever it took. And the other 4 people were like negative naysayers. They just checked the box. I always bring up that scene from Office Space where Jennifer Aniston, she's got her pieces of flair. She's working at TGI Fridays, and the minimum amount that you have to wear, I think, was like 15 or something like that. And her coworker has like, 100, and her manager's like, why don't you, why can't you be like so-and-so? And she's like, well, we're only supposed to wear 15. And he's like, well, yeah, but I mean, look at so-and-so. And the guy's like giving her like middle fingers. So where's, but you know the scene I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some people are going to have to Google the movie because
totally
based on audience. Yeah.
But it's such a good scene. But I've had employees that are just like, they're going to wear the 15 pieces of flair and like, that's it, call it a day. And that's not what we're after. Like we want our clients to feel super well taken care of. I want the people that work for me, I want them from each other. I want them to feel like, man, we're like in this thing. We're in the trenches. It's not always easy, and it's not always, rainbows and all the things, but we care, and we want to become the best version of ourselves and all those things. And it takes one bad nut to infect the people's surroundings. And that's why like culture is so important in when you have a team and all that stuff.
Yeah. Like I would say that the challenging part is that each person you bring in, the culture will change. It will shift.
Yeah.
But when I let that person go, other team members, I thought they were going to be like, well, if this person's leaving, I'm going to leave too. But in reality, they're like, we're glad he's gone. He was great until he wasn't. Yeah. And it actually allowed everyone else to like say their true feelings. But I didn't think that. I was actually concerned that losing or getting rid of the top producer would actually affect the way that we were doing business. And everyone else would be like, oh, then I'm going to leave if that person's leaving. But in reality, they're like, we're glad he's gone. And I was like, oh. So then I felt like I should have done this sooner. But, it happens.
It happens. Yeah, that's good. I know one of the things that you wanted to talk about was the importance of really knowing who it is that you're talking to.
Yeah.
And in marketing, I'll say that back in the day when we were working with like high-end luxury wedding couples, I knew the words I needed to say. I knew where I needed to hang out. It was so easy. The marketing, all the marketing material that we created. And then in 2012, we transitioned to corporate commercial storytelling. And I assume we can kind of take the same model, but then realize very quickly that, oh, we're not really clear on who we're talking to. We're talking to like small businesses, and that's not really a niche. I found out. So let's get into it. Like what's on your mind when you talk about that, or when you're thinking about that?
Yeah, I think that when you're the business owner, you're thinking about who you would like to attract. But the biggest mistake that people have is that they say, well, everyone's a client, everyone's a potential client.
Right.
And that's a
Right.
mistake, because I've seen people that try to talk to everybody and then they're talking to nobody, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean, and I don't think everyone has to like aggressively niche down specifically, but you have to realize who you serve and why you serve them. Because you might be going after a market that you actually hate when it comes to this. And what I've seen is that when we're trying to figure out who are the right people to talk to, it's the people that actually appreciate, what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just figuring that out is important. An example is that in real estate, it's a very incestuous relationship in marketing, where they say R&D basically stands for rip off and duplicate. So one agent does this, then you're like, I'm going to do that just like that agent. But the example I give is that if you have a house key and you make a copy of it, the second copy is not so good. It doesn't work as well. And then the third copy, based on the second copy, is worse. Pretty soon, you're so far removed that it doesn't even open the doors that you want anymore. And that's exactly what happens a lot in real estate. They're like, oh, well, this person's doing this, I'm just going to copy them. So think of it this way. You're just a more and more watered down version of this person. And that effectiveness continues to go down and down and down. I started a YouTube channel and I was like, oh, I was looking at other channels in other places, but I'm in Orange County, California. The problem is that not everyone could sell a home in Detroit and then move to Orange County, right? Because of just the prices. So the model I was given was, well, you just want to talk to other people about living in Orange County and then what it's going to be like to move here, because they were in places like Texas that had a lot of people like relocating. The channel never took off. And I was like, why am I not getting views when it came to it? It's because when people are moving, this is not a primary relocation place. If anything, this is like where people move out of. So I'm actually in the process of rebooting channel, and it's going to be more about like what it's like to be a local, because I've lived in Orange County for 45 years at this point.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think about that, but I was like, why isn't this working? I spent all this time on it. I'm not getting opportunities. It's because the reality is that you can't just assume that if someone else is doing like something, I might as well just do it and I'll just copy it. Maybe I'll get like 50% of their results if I do the same exact thing. But over time, it ends up being like, I'm not authentic anymore. I'm just literally trying to copy a copy that is a copy of another copy. So it doesn't work, is what I found.
I love that. I've taken a page out of Mike's suggestion. I started a newsletter earlier this year. I'm on like week 8, I think is coming up. I've done it every single week. I'm really proud of myself. I launched a brand new YouTube channel. I've got a whopping 32 subscribers.
Congrats. Awesome.
Thank you. 52 subscribers to my newsletter. It's like so humbling to like start something new. But what the page that like how I'm copying Mike is being my most true and authentic self. I think he really said like, hey, like lean into your personal brand and who you are. And so I'm sharing all these stories that I'll share in a small group or like, at a retreat or something like that. and people laugh or they cry or whatever, they're engaged. But I don't have the space, or I haven't created the space to do that on social platforms. And I haven't really wanted to, because I'm like, no, there's so much stuff like people are consuming, like that's not interesting or whatever. Well, what's so fascinating just over the past few weeks of me doing this newsletter, talking about the newsletter, posting snippets from the newsletter, creating little videos from the newsletter or the YouTube stuff that I'm doing, I've had more people in the last 2 months reach out to me and say, I need to work with you. I love what you're doing. It's inspired. Like, I'm not making this stuff up. I've gotten more comments on videos that I've posted, more comments on emails that I've written than I've ever in all the content I've created. And I'm like, oh, and it's not like, I said I've got 52 subscribers or whatever. So it's not like, tons and tons, but the small audience, there is a very high engagement on this stuff, because I think it's resonating with the people that get me, or that want to get me or understand me. And so I think that's just been some of the best advice, where in the past, I've got a handful of people that I follow online. I'm like, oh man, I wish I could do content like that. That's really cool. They look really good. They sound really smart, like all of the things. But, and we could probably do that. Is it like, are we going to be forcing some things, and is it going to be work? Yes. And do I want to add work in a space where I would actually prefer to just be myself? I would rather just be myself. And as I'm leaning into that, it's like, oh gosh, okay, like this can work. And maybe it's not going to have this is like, huge, super fast growth, but I'm already seeing people that are saying like, hey, I'd love to work with you. I'm like, oh, I thought it was going to be harder than this.
Yeah. So it sounds like what is you're seeing is that the more you are yourself, even though it's not a huge mass market hit, you're actually getting more quality of the people that actually like you and get you and want to do business with you than if you're like, all right, let me try to appeal to everybody. Because that's just, remember, it came to follower account for a long time. And now that the algorithm has changed, like you're getting served up to the right people when it comes to it, which is, the way that I see the world going. And in fact, think of it this way. There used to be a time where people would go to their neighbors and say, hey, can I borrow some eggs? Can I borrow some, milk or sugar? That's how it was. I literally only know my next door neighbor because she's like elderly, and one time she fell. That's the only reason I know her. Okay. But I know people in like other parts of the world. So it's gone global, but on a local level, it's basically completely washed away. That is the weirdest thing, but that's what we've seen. And I think that as we continue, even when it comes to video, I'm seeing more and more people figure out what is their authenticity. And even though that word is like pretty washed up in a way, in my opinion, based on how long it's been used, it's a word that I think resonates with a lot of people, because when you figure out who you are, which takes time, then you can speak to the right people. Because I'm a very good presenter, but sometimes it's not about presentation. It's about participation in who you really are.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people, there are some people that are afraid of being known because they're not going to be able to market to everybody. Right. But that's like the whole thing. It's like, no, like there are going to be some people that don't resonate or don't like you, and that's fine. That's hard for somebody like me, who's like, I'm not a people pleaser, but I'm a wooer. Like I want to win people over. Like I want people to like me. Right. And when they don't, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to say? Do I need to be a better listener? Like, what are the things? Do I need to tell better jokes? I can't, because these are the best jokes that anybody's got, but I think that's good. As I'm thinking about, I'm showing up more, I'm creating more content than I ever have before, but it's easy and it's actually been enjoyable, and I have a better system in place now. But what's neat is that I'm like, this is just, these are stories that I have, and because I'm creating more content, there's not this pressure to feel like I need to, like, what's the call to action? I need to close people on this video. right? It's like, okay, if you like this video, make sure that you book a discovery call, because you should do a video with hire us to do, like, I would put that pressure on myself. And then I would think like, well, I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to create another piece of content. I'm creating more content with less of like a strong call to action at all. It's, if anything, it's just subtle. It's like, here's what I'm working on, and here's what I'm learning as I'm doing it. And I don't know if this makes sense and you want to talk about any of this, like, let's have a chat, see if we can work together. If create, not whatever, it's fine. And this approach is like, it just feels more natural. Like, if we're in a sales meeting and you talk about wanting video, I'm going to talk about the power of it, like what I've seen and like my passion for it. But if you don't want it, or you don't want to hire us, like, I am not pulling out any sort of sales tactics to try to get you to consider hiring us versus somebody else. It's like, if you don't get it, you don't feel like we're going to bring the value, like, geez, oh, Pete's like, let's not work together. And for me to create some very small ways for people to engage with us that don't cost a lot of money, that don't take a ton of time, like, that's been really helpful for me and for our clients to really figure out, hey, can we dip our toe in and just kind of like feel, does this feel okay? And, oh yeah, okay, this works. Now let's jump into something that's like maybe bigger, more time intensive and costs more money and those kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, I think that makes sense. And I think a lot of people, especially if you're a pleaser, because I like being liked too. I'm like, I can make this person like me. I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make sense that they wouldn't like me. What don't they like? Right? Because it's a pride and an ego thing. But I was actually just talking to a coaching client, and I told her, I'm like, there's a third of the people that are going to work with you no matter what. They love you. They're fans. There's third people who are like, I don't like your face. Like, it's not for me. Your voice is not good. I don't like your voice. You're too old. You're too young. Whatever it is, they will never work with you. But there's another 33% that don't know you yet. So they haven't chosen you. And these are the people that are going to give you an opportunity once they get to know you. And they might end up in your fan category, or they might end up never wanting to work with you. But right now, they don't even know you. So there's no choice to be made. And that's one of my beefs with like real estate coaching. It's like, how to get your buyers off the fence. So how to convince them to buy a house they don't want to buy. I'm like, that sounds terrible. I suck at that. I am so bad at that. They're like, well, just tell them this. So when I see agents posting stuff like just sold, just listed all the time, that's all they do. Guess what? No one cares. One of my friends, he's like, imagine if Taco Bell presented like realtors. Imagine if Taco Bell said, I sold another taco, and that was all their marketing. It wouldn't work. It absolutely wouldn't work. But it really video gives people a way to experience you at a higher level. And to be honest, like, I know I need to do more video, probably like a lot of the people listening to this podcast right now. And the thing that keeps you from doing video is, well, you might get found out. But if you're out work with people, they're eventually going to see you anyways. So that's the bad news. You'd rather them not like you now versus you try to go on an appointment, meet with them. They're like, I'm out. Right. Yeah. So that's the reality that I see.
Yeah. That's what I tell people. Video can be an amazing time saver. People are like, what's the ROI if I do this brand video? The ROI is that people watch your brand video to get to know you and to decide whether or not you're somebody that they want to work with or not. And if they save you the time of not booking a discovery call because they don't get to watch a video, they don't get to see your goofy personality. I'm speaking to myself right now. And then they get on a Zoom call and they realize, like, who is this goofball? I don't like his face. I don't like his voice. He's got that. He thinks he's so cool with that microphone. And is that even a real background? Like, you don't have to have that call, right? Save yourself 20, 30 minutes. Compounded over time. That's like hours and hours and hours. So when you say like, well, what's the ROI on this video? It's like, well, you can potentially save like dozens or probably hundreds of hours by not getting on calls with people that don't think that they're a good fit. But then also you're creating rapport with in connection with people that are like, I kind of like what this guy's saying. And those people book, and it's a quicker sale because they feel like they already know you and there you don't have to go through this like super awkward getting to know you phase. So I think, I mean, that's why I love what I get to do, because I think we get to speed up some of that and to think about. I mean, my favorite thing is being in person with people and getting to know them and building trust that way. But I'm like, I know how video can be this trust builder. And so like, let's think and make something happen to where you can build trust while you're sleeping. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah. So basically have the ability to work while you're not actively working is something that, video has the ability to do that most people don't even recognize. They think about all the time that they're going to put into like creating a video, but the reality is that there's a trailing effect. And when you look at these views, right? Because on your YouTube, you're like, only got 100 views. You talked to 100 people. 100 people were exposed to you. That is insane. Like when people are like, oh, well, I wish it was like someone else that gets 100,000 views. Well, the 100,000 views, it's not going to have the same actual focus as 100 people that you connected with, most likely. That's what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole like viral videos and social content has really screwed up our just what reality is and like what we need. And when you start thinking about like, well, how many clients do I need? And when you start putting numbers behind things, it's like, yeah, I don't need 100 new clients. I couldn't serve 100 new clients, but if I had 10 new clients, like, man, that could make a world of difference. Okay, so if you have 10 new clients and 100 people watched that video, geez, like there's a chance that there's 10%. I mean, that's a high percentage, that 10% of those people might become clients, but man, like the numbers don't have to be in the hundreds of thousands. It's way smaller when you're really targeted, right? And you're speaking to a very specific audience.
Yeah, I totally agree. It makes a lot of sense to me too.
Well, what are you excited about? What's in front of you right now that you're just, you're just pumped about and encourage us, because I know there's people, there's plenty to complain about as a business owner. It's just it's a challenging time for a lot of business owners. So I think there's always hope and there's always opportunity, but what's in front of you right now that you're excited about?
Yeah, for me, it's really about video. So the timing of this podcast is good because it's actually to spend more time doing more video. I think that we don't spend enough time expressing ourselves in the mediums that actually count. And when I think about that, a lot of the reason is that we say we're too busy to do that, right? But the reality is that we're actually not as busy as we think we are. It's because we suck at time management, right?
Yeah.
That's totally, I was diagnosed with ADHD, right? At an early age. So I was very good at that. Somehow I had that and OCD, which I don't understand how you can have both. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But what I will say is that spending more time doing video, being more authentic in the video and the work that I do, and actually figuring out how to have as much clarity as possible on the people that we serve. Because when you find that audience fit, then everything changes because life is a lot easier too. The quality of work is a lot easier. And when we're able to do that at a very high level, I do think real estate is one of those areas that I'm in a field that's dominated by like divorcees and retired people and people that can't keep a job, right? So the bar's kind of low, but I think that in reality, there's an opportunity for us to kind of raise that.
I'm just thinking through all the people that I know. Oh, that's good. When it comes to doing more video, like, do you have a plan? Like, what's your plan in order to be able to produce the amount of stuff that you're hoping to produce?
Yeah, I think that for me, the biggest plan is really to write down the topics that speak to me. So it'll be topic based. And then from there, I'll be spending more time like figuring out who are my three audiences and the people that I'm speaking to and how they'd want to be spoken to. I have spent more time recording myself, which is the worst thing you could ever do just like by yourself talking to a camera, it's brutal.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
even like, I'm like,
All
okay,
energy.
well, you can't see my hands, stuff like that,
Yeah.
where it's like ridiculous. You can't see my hands. Like I'm like a cutout. Like, so
Yeah.
learning how to do that is, you know, the mechanical side, but, you know, spending more time and making sure that I'm speaking to the right audiences. And that's what I know, that is going to win the day. And that's why YouTube, I don't feel will ever be too crowded, because
Yeah.
there could be two people living in the same city that
Yeah.
have very similar lives, that one person's going to resonate and one person's that isn't. And that, I think that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any, like, do you put in your calendar, like each week, like a planning block and then an actual execution block? Like, what is your like real nitty gritty, how you're going to get this done, accomplish this more video idea?
Yeah. So on Mondays, I have a team meeting. I have a bunch of coaching calls as well. But after that, I basically have an hour and a half set aside to basically be like, all right, write down as many topics as you can think of, and figure out when you're going to block it, you know, and record on it, at least draft one, to kind of see how it's going to come together. So that's what our plan has been, or my plan has been, you know, in the more recent future, because I have a company that will help edit some stuff. And they're
Yeah.
like, you're welcome to keep paying us, but we'd like to do some work. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll say that I know the biggest, as I work with people who are in a space similar to you. It's like, hey, we know we need to be doing more video. All of my video business owner friends are in the same boat. It's like, we don't have time. You know, we're the cobbler. We don't even have time to make shoes for our kids. But it's so vital and important. And the best way to get it done is having a system. So some kind of a story system where you're planning out, dreaming, what are the videos that we need to create, maybe scripting or outlining them, having a time to do that in a regular time, not just like one time on your calendar per year, but something that's, if it's once a week or once a month, but some cadence. And then not just the planning, but the actual, okay, we got to shoot this thing. And then, okay, when it's shot, then where does it go? Am I editing it? Do I have a team that I can send it to? So having a plan for post-production. And then it's like planning it for social. Where's it going? Is there going to be copy that goes with it? Do you have a system in place that's going to give you like, you know, good copy that goes with the video that feels like it's in your voice and all that stuff? For me, not having a system like that stopped me from, you know, I got 8,000 video ideas, no problem coming up with a plan. I've got some time where I've actually done the filming, and then less time where I've handed it off to my team because my team's got video projects, or I'm trying to hire a new editor to test out some stuff. And then like, oh, then it gets edited and it's like, wait, when is this going to go? What's the script again? How can we create a piece of content that the copy that's going to go on the LinkedIn? But it's like, oh yeah. So without having a clear system in place to where that stuff can be done really fast, for me, stuff just didn't get done. And putting a plan in place, wow, what a difference having a system makes in like, oh, now I have, you know, 7 weeks of this newsletter and it's getting created and shot and edited and all the things because I've got a plan for all the steps. Look at you go.
It's great. It's great. Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Oh, this is great. Alex, what's a good place if people want to follow you, find out more of the cool stuff that you've got going on? Where do they go? What do they do?
If they want to see my upcoming video content, they can just go to Instagram, which is Real Alex U, spelled letter Y, letter U. There's no O in between.
Do you usually say that, or did you say it just because of me?
Just because of you. Yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Grow Your Video Business podcast. If you got something out of today's conversation, do me a favor, share it with a friend or post it on your socials. Tag me at Ryan Coral or at Grow Your Video Business. I'd love to know what resonated with you. If you've got a question or takeaway, drop a comment wherever you're listening or watching this. You can also shoot me a message. I read every single one. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. We've got more stories, strategies, and behind the scenes insights coming your way to help you build a business that you love. Keep creating, keep sharing your story, and keep showing up. I'm cheering you on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.